Ah, good. It said I was live and then it paused for some reason, but and the lighting is really sort of. That's worse. Oh, it's a little better. Anyway, hi folks, how you doing? Thrash Bondo here, and I'm doing my traditional Sunday Night Live chat. Tonight is going to be the Thrash of July edition. And oh, look who's here. Steve from the Life Insanity says first. Well, apparently I'm starting with the end tonight. Steve, I absolutely loved that piece you had on the Beverly Hillbillies. I love the behind the scenes stuff. Amazing stuff. Oh, Lance Chafin is here. Says, "How you Thrash?" Lance, it was great working with you today with that tug. I know we had a lot of technical problems. We seemed to have some even after you left. So it was just one of those days, I'm afraid. One of those days. John Hepfer says, R.I.P. Jim Morrison and Brian Jones. Both on this day, different years, I would imagine. But yes, rest in peace to both. Huge, huge classic rock fan, as I'm sure you know. And the Doors and the Stones were way, way up there. So yes, thank you, John, for pointing that out. And let's see here what else we got. Yeah, I'm a little early tonight, as I'm sure you guys have realized. Oh, John Collins is here. Says hello, sir, and hello to you too, good sir. By the way, love the inspirational post you had on Facebook today. Great stuff. Great stuff. Lynn says, it's okay, Thrash. Yeah, Lance, these things happen. We all got to take it with a grain of salt. Not sure what the situation was. Hey, but we made it though, and it was I think a darn fine show, all things considered. All things considered, as in John Carpenter's The Thing. Anyway, how you folks all doing this wonderful? I keep saying Labor Day. God, I wish it was in the summer already. For the July weekend, we have mostly cloudy conditions up here in Cape Cod. It was raining for a few minutes. I don't know if I'm able to do the full 90 minutes tonight, guys. My voice is starting to crack a little bit. I think doing two shows in one day might take its toll on the old vocal cords, but I'll see what I can do. If I'm starting to sound dry or cracky towards the end, we'll have to take it from there. Tom the Hungry Jerk is here. Says, hi, guys, just listening. Yes, poor Tom has to work tonight, but he's in the kitchen and he's got us going on one of his devices. Len says, Killer Clowns is a cult classic. It certainly is. It certainly is. And the theme song they have from the Dickies is one of my favorite movie theme songs of all time. Oh, Dennis DeLeo is here. Says, save me a sip. Oh, yes. This is, in fact, polar tonic water. It's just tonic water. So effectively, it is a virgin Tanqueray and tonic. Never drink while I'm on duty. Superplex says, hello to all. And are we in a better mood now, Superplex? You were being so mean to, well, pretty much everyone in the chat today. By the way, I gotta know, but and not between you and me, because everyone else is gonna see this. What is the axe to grind against Hotarovsky? I mean, I understand he's a surreal artist, not everyone's cup of tea, but you really didn't like anything he's ever done? Anyway, please let me know in the comments below. But anyway, Zuplex, all kidding aside, it's great to see you. Let's just see. Oh, Sean Innes is lurking. Lurking in the shadows, are we? It's so good to see you. I've tried to, by the way, I have this set up in my office at the moment because that's where I get the best reception. So I get the laptop in front of the PC. I think I have it lined up where I can at least most often look at the camera, but I am going to have to glance down to read the comments. And let's just see what else we get here. Zubik says I was mean. Well, right. Well, mean may not be the proper word. More critical. You were you were very critical of some of the artists we mentioned today, by the way. But you know what? That's half the fun of these shows. I'm just busting your chops, Zoop. You know me. I'm never serious, and you're one of my oldest compatriots. So again, salt with the grain. Let's see what else we got. Dennis DeLeo says, what's that drink? Only the flavored seltzer? Yes, it's lime flavored tonic water. I love tonic water. It's great for leg cramps too, by the way. I learned that years ago. I used to get leg cramps and I started drinking the tonic water and they went away. Must be something in the quinine, but yeah, it's lime flavored. Someone says, nope, he is like those French New Wave directors, overrated. Free country, free country. I did love El Topo though. Some of the other ones, I mean, I had a friend who was obsessed with Santa Sangre, and well, anyway, if you don't like him, we'll just leave it at that. Dan, the breaking news man. Trivia from me. What actor was in Tremors and Little House on the Prairie? Ooh, actor was in Little House on the Prairie and Tremors. I haven't seen either one of those in decades, and I know it's not Michael Landon, too obvious. Victor French? I'm gonna say Victor French. But that's an inspired guess. As it says, it's okay, T Pawns. I can take criticism. Me too. Me too. And it's all in fun. Gary Cameron says, greetings, everyone. I'm back. As are we. And Zublick says hello to Gary. John Collins says, Bob, I wanted to let you know, being the pop culture guy that you are, I purchased some Dick Cavett DVDs and they are awesome. Not just because, but because the DVDs have entire episodes on them. Love the old Dick Cavett show. There were some episodes right here on YouTube, but yeah, Dick Cavett was amazing. Dan says Charlotte Stewart, Miss Beadle. Oh, okay. Thank you, thank you. I do remember Miss Beadle, but I wouldn't know her name, and I probably didn't recognize her. But thank you. Good catch. Good catch. Dennis DeLeo says, "Hey, Lance." A lot of people having fellowship, saying hi to each other. Gary Cameron says, "I'm here. I know you're listening." Yes, we are. We are listening. And and I have trivia game for tonight, guys. It's all going to be on classic music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Mrs. Thrash took it and got 100%. And I even have a bonus question, which she also got. So it should be fairly sporting for anyone who likes music. Steve says, I did the live stream yesterday. Someone asked me if I had followed the story of the Titan sub. I replied, yes, I did follow it, holding my breath the whole time. Zublik says, in the 1970s, late night wasn't just a reserve for comedy. No, it wasn't actually. You're right. I remember those old late night horror movie shows. Those were probably my favorite. Dan says, yippee, the 80s. Yes, amongst others as well. Gary Carpenter says, Thrasher, do you remember Jenny Argater? Logan's Run, probably best known, but she was also in the film adaptation of Walkabout and American Werewolf in London. So, yes, I'm something of a fan. Dennis Leo says, just picked up a Cavett show with all the Groucho bits. Is that the one where he does the very famous live edition of Lydia? Because I've seen that several times, but I can't remember what context it is from. Zublik says, that Titan tragedy, life was so sad. Condolence to the families of the victims. Yes. I know people's views on the whole matter differ wildly, but I do feel terrible for the families of the victims. Definitely. It was very sad. John Collins says, including the John Lennon episodes. That is amazing. Love me, my John Lennon. Len says, Steve, I was on Tug's stream today. Yes, and I helped. Oh, look, when Tom's here, he says, who can forget Jenny Augater? Indeed. Didn't you and I see Walkabout together? Well, regardless, yes, she was in Walkabout. And Len says, yes, Jenny was in Werewolf of London. And I remember, Tom, that was Sean's favorite movie for a while. Jenny Skate says, greetings from South Carolina, and a greetings to you too, Mr. Dan. And he says, hello to all. Oh, Tracy's Fractured History and More is here. Says, hi, guys. Tracy, so glad you could make it. Thank you. Oh, and I'm very sorry. You gave a notification that you couldn't do a live stream yesterday, but I couldn't catch the sound, man. If you'd like to give us the reason, please feel free to clue us in the comments below. Gary Carpenter says, I'm talking to her now on my other phone. Jenny Argater? Tell her I said hi. Oh, and Dan says, oh, Dan has given us a link. Thank you for your link, my link master. And Alen says, Jenny's mom. Jenny's mom has got it going on. And Gary says, yeah, that is her and Logan's Run. You know what says in Logan's Run? Farrah Fawcett Majors. Lance Javen says, you're talking to Jenny now. Wow. Zublik says, I remember Dick Cavett scored a huge hit when he landed an interview with Marlon Brando after he did Last Tango in Paris. Oh, yes. I remember that anecdote as well. Tracy says, my bad. My microphone was off. Ugh. And Gary says, yes, she did Werewolf in London. And, Dennis says, the DVD has all the Grouch Show interviews and songs that he did on Cavett's shows from the late 60s and early 70s. That sounds like an absolute blast. And, I'd like to give shout outs to some people who I thought were going to be with us tonight, but haven't been as late. Cindy D said she was going to be here. She was one of the music trivia. So, Cindy, I hope you make it tonight because I did this music trivia in your honor. Lisa Fields as well. I was talking to her on Facebook, but hopefully we'll see her tonight on the live stream. Georgia Ares as well, by the way. We saw you the last couple times. Hopefully you'll make it tonight. House of Alex, you know you're always welcome here, as is Baked Bean. Of course, they're usually up so late that they have to watch this in replay. But guys, it's great that you can make it even in the replay. And Tom, I know you're out there, so a shout out to you as well, by the way. Oh, some others, by the way, who I still talk to like occasionally here and there, but haven't seen in a live show in a while. Mandy Butler, and of course, Music Girl 67. Always thinking about you. You're always welcome to come back. And anyone else I haven't specifically shouted out to, know that I'm thinking about you. Oh, music, movies, and more. Music, movies, monsters, and more. He was here the other night, but he kind of came and went. So anyway, please drop by some time and stay. Let's just see what else we got here. I don't want to get too far. Oh, Tug is here. Says, hi there, guys. I'm here, but not able to chat much. Quite all right. Being here in spirit is more than enough. Triple says, Gary is talking to Jenny Argater. Apparently, yes, he is. Oh, Gary found her on Facebook. Well, again, tell her I said hi and that we are all long-term fans. A lot of people having fellowship. Oh, Wajamin is here, says hello, everyone. John Collins says, yes, Dennis, what are the titles of the Cavett sets you have? I have the Comic Legend set and the John and Yoko collection set. Oh, Tracy asks, how's Ian? I haven't talked to him this week. I am going to check with him. I'm not sure he's going to do a show tomorrow or not. It might be me solo, but I intend to talk to him before then. He's been very, 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 very busy lately. The book says, tell her she is gorgeous, Gary. You know what? While we have Jenny on the phone, and I know technically Gary does, but while she is on the phone in spirit, everybody tell me what their favorite Jenny Argater film is. I'm going to go with Walkabout because I read the book when I had to read it for school, and then when I saw the film, I found it to be very, very, very intense. So I'm going with Walkabout. But please tell me what your favorite Jenny Argater movies are here. Dennis DeLeo says, got company, gotta go for a while. Keep a seat warm. Dennis, so glad you could stop by. Hello, goodbye. Tell your company we said hello, and have a very nice evening. Happy 4th of July. Danny's giving us another link to Wajamin, it seems. Wajamin says hello. Lance says, give me a shout out to Jenny. Yes, we want to talk to Jenny. Oh, Tug says, Logan's Run. Of course, when it comes to Jenny Argater, there are no wrong answers. Lance says American Werewolf in London. Zuplex concurs American Werewolf in London. Again, I loved that movie, actually. Like I said, old friend Sean, it was one of his favorite movies for a while. Saw it several times. Yeah, good movie, like nice horror, comedy, romance flick. Great stuff, great stuff. Dennis DeLeo says the DVD was a PBS special worth the investment. Dan says, was Walkabout in Australia? Yes, it's a really cool story. What happens is it's slightly different in the book and the movie, but what happens is these young siblings, a girl in her late teens and her brother who's around, I guess, 10ish, I forget, for reasons get stuck in the Australian outback and have very little in the way of survival skills. And they meet a local indigenous young male who takes them under their wing, and they end up deciding to stay with him for a while. And I don't want to say too much, I don't want to give it away. But it's a very intense story. And the book is phenomenal. I read the book when I was like 13, and I just fell in love with it. Oh, and thank you for the other link. Crow Minion is here, says Thrash, Geek, Lance, Gary. And we all say thank you to you as well, Crow Minion. Dan says, I liked that movie Walkabout. Yeah, it's a great flick, great flick. And Danny, thanks again for the other link. A lot of people having fellowship, saying hello. Sublik says, Jenny was, is, and continues to be beautiful. I cannot, will not, nor shall not argue with any of the points you have just made. Zoop. I couldn't agree with you more. Oh, and Gary, are you passing any of this on to Jenny, by the way? Or are we just spinning our proverbial wheels? Or just walking about, as one could say? Cruminian says American Werewolf would have to be my favorite. Again, great flicks, and there are no wrong answers. I actually I thought, it's so funny. I was watching highlights on YouTube for Logan's Run, and the ice cavern scene where they encounter Box. That's just an absolutely amazing scene. To this day, it holds up. And when I actually found out about some of the things they had to go through to make that scene, like they used live models. Those weren't mannequins that were like painted with body paint and stuff. Those were actually live models painted blue, I guess it was. And they actually had to hold their breath during those scenes where they're actually making shots. It's actually crazy. But you got to tip your hat to it. And we all know the story of when Michael York snubbed me. Oh, hang on. I think I pontificated till I get off the page. Oh, here we go. Cruminian says, I haven't seen that in probably 35 years. Zuplik says, Jenny, oh, yeah, I already got that part. All right, so I think I'm actually caught up. And Wajimine says, working on dinner, be back and forth, more than understand. We ate early tonight, so that wouldn't be an issue, but I'm on the skin for people who it does. Dan says, did you see the Gods Must Be Crazy movie? Yes. In fact, that would make an amazing double feature now that you mentioned it. But yes, I love the Gods Must Be Crazy. I didn't care for the sequel as much, but I love the Gods Must Be Crazy. Zublik says, see you later. John Collins said to Wajimine. John Collins says, I don't know how much about American Wolf in London, except that it is the entire reason why they have the theater video, the thriller video. So there's that. Yippee skippy woohoo. I couldn't agree with you more, John. Sean Innes says Jenny Agutter was also in Equus. Never saw Equus. I imagine she must be good at it. Cruminian says the breaking hello to the breaking news man. Danny says I don't know which Jenny I like best. Gary says, okay, I'll try to. Thank you, Gary. It's okay either way. But if you were actually talking to her, that's great. Gonzo out there is here. Gonzo. If you guys haven't seen some of his late posts, he did a series of like world's funniest videos. The one he put out today was absolutely hysterical. But they're scary. You really think some of these people are going to get killed. But you got to check out Gonzo's channel. Danny, do the honors. And Gonzo says, hey, Thrash, sitting back and listening. I enjoy the knowledge shared. Big like number 6. Wow, 14 people watching, only 6 likes. Come on, people, we can do better. Oh, David is here, says almost. Oh, happy 4th, almost. I read the second part first. Happy 4th to you as well, by the way. Uh, by the way, I thought Daryl Johnson was here. I thought I saw him pop in. I was going to say, but anyway, Daryl Johnson, if you're not here yet, shout out to you, by the way. I saw you earlier today on Tug's channel. I was hoping you could make it tonight. But either way, hello. And hello to everyone else. As I think of people, I'll be sure to shout them out. Mr. Led, of course. Mr. Led, shout out to you too, by the way. Zubik says, I am afraid to ask, but what is tonight's trivia going to be about? Oh, classic music, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Tracy says, just ordered a t-shirt, Robert. Blue to match your eyes. Thank you very much. That's very, very, very kind of you. Sean says, Jenny Agutter was spectacularly beautiful in Shana 9, Liberty 37. That sounds like a score in some type of sports activity. Emily Miller's here. Speaking of people who are normally here, Emily Miller's here says, good evening, y'all. Emily, it's so great to see you, by the way. I love the stuff you've been posting on Facebook, by the way. It's some really, really funny stuff. Great stuff. Let's just see what else we get going on. A lot of people just having a fellowship and saying hello. Oh, and Lance is pointing out to Tracy, his shirt took about 2 weeks to get to him. Mine took about 3 weeks. Apparently, Thrash Pondo's a bigger seller. Oh, Thrash Pondo. Ha, ha, ha. Thrash Pondo's a bigger seller than anybody would have realized. Who'd have figured? And a lot of people having fellowship with Emily, saying hello to her. Zublik says, well, that's probably going to be a big fat 0 for me. Don't do much in the way of music, huh? But anyway, it's music trivia. So it's like a lot of it is about the music itself, not necessarily like what the song is. And again, it's multiple choice. So, Dave, try. Criminal says, Thrash, aha, Thrash, king of the impossible. Emily says, I may not be smart, I may not be pretty, but I share great memes, by God. Who said you're not smart and pretty? Tell them I need glasses and an IQ test. David says, love music. Good, Dave. You should do quite well tonight. Gary Cameron says, are you familiar with a movie called Equus that Jenny Agutter was in? I'm familiar with it. I just haven't seen it. It's based on a stage play. And I'm not really going to go into the plot here, but I am familiar with it. Criminal says, Equus was weird. Another one, which I haven't seen in ages. Yeah. No, I'm thinking of it. I thought of it. I was thinking Equinox for a second, but that's, if anyone's seen Equinox, that's actually the film that Evil Dead was based on. But Equus has a much different story arc. Again, which I'm not going to go into. Zublik says, I am familiar with it, but I didn't see it. Gary John says, how is it that I've never heard of Jenny Agutter? If you've seen Logan's Run, you have. If you've seen American Werewolf in London, you have. If you've seen, Walkabout's a tall order for Americans. But I'm reasonably sure you've seen her in something. Lance Chafin says, Thrash, thanks to my idea, or that shirt would not exist. Oh, no, Lance, we always give you full credo. Oh, and Dan says, have you seen the movie My Life as a Dog? I haven't. Oh, and has anyone seen Keith E? Sometimes Keith E comes in, but if he has trouble with Surrey, he doesn't make a lot of comments. So Keith E, if you're out there, hello. If you're watching in replay, hello. Always good to see you. Hope you and Hooper. Oh, actually, wait a second. I just remembered he couldn't make it tonight. He's visiting with his brother. Apparently, his brother who has a bear or something. And I recommended that Hooper and Mr. Bear play nice. So anyway, Keith, when you watch this in replay, and you will, hope you had a great night, and we'll see you really soon. Dave said, I grew up with my grandfather classic country music. No country in my trivia, but I know a lot of people who do like country. Emily says, I haven't either, John. Yeah, there are some people who may not be familiar with Miss Agutter. Elizabeth says, yep, Dan. Pretty good film. David says, I love George Jones. Gary Carpenter says, neither did I, but it is about a Christian woman who married an atheist and their son blinded 6 horses. Yeah. Yeah, that's the and Emily says, I might recognize her in her roles, I guess. I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. And Shannon says, yeah, Equinox really gets ripped off by Sam Raimi, but he did build on it. Oh, yes, yes. There's certainly many things that Sam Raimi did differently. But the idea about 4 college kids going away for the weekend to get away from studying and tests, and then go into the woods and find a haunted house and release demons. Yeah, you can see the similarities. But Raimi certainly put his own stamp on it. Lynn says, I need more t-shirt ideas, gang. We'll work on that. Emily says, Gary, my wife is Christian and I'm an atheist. It can work. Griminian says, a bear, like bear? Yes, as in like grr. David says also classic rock too. I have some classic rock in my repertoire tonight. Gary Carpenter says to DR, I met George Jones at the Speed Street in Charlotte, North Carolina, years ago. Len says opposites attract, Emily. They certainly do. They certainly do. Sean Ennis says Jenny Agutter has also been in what? 2 Avengers movies too. She was a very beautiful actress that drew the eye in the 70s and early 80s. Very well stated, yes, Sean. Very, very well stated. And David says sweet to Gary. Cribbington says sounds like James Carville and Mary Matlin. One Dem, one Repub, but they make it work. LOL. I guess you could look at it that way. Cribbington, yes, I can see that. Emily Miller says, I just want to point out that neither of our sons have ever blinded a horse, though. Good point. Good point. I once rode through the desert on a horse with no name. It wasn't actually out of the rain, though. So Luke says, by Avengers, do you mean Marvel Avengers, Sean? And Gary Carpenter says, the character's mom let him watch TV, but his father didn't like it. Pardon me, I'm getting parched. Yeah, the voice is already starting to go, gang, but I'll try to endeavor for as long as I can. But pardon. Crimminian says, great song, but then America was a great band. It really was. They really were. They had some great stuff. Oh, and by the way, what do you think the chances are that the horse with no name was, in fact, Wildfire? Yeah, Wildfire, who was a horse, as you know, manages to survive the horrible blizzard, gets down from the Rockies, makes it all the way to the Pacific, and is found by America, who then ride him along the waterfront. Any takers? Uh, Here we are. Shannon says, okay, I'll be blunt. Argater helped a lot of us in our teens, so to speak. I'm leaving that at that. Eleanor says, with no name was the name. Oh, the horse with no name. In the same way Clint Eastwood was the man with no name. I'll buy that. No, I'll buy that. Gary Gardner says, Crow, I love them, especially Horse with No Name. Yes, very. Speak of the devil, other brother Darrell is in the house. I was just saying, I thought I said come in earlier, but I didn't. But anyway, Darrell Johnson is in the house. He says, Bob, I'm gonna be other brother Darrell. Great to see you. Great to see you. Emily says, I'm good, Lance. Hot and muggy, but good. Yeah, if it's hot and muggy here on Cape Cod, I can't imagine what it's like in the Carolinas. Is it still raining, by the way? That's going on to both Dan and Emily, because I heard it was like raining throughout the Carolinas before. I was just talking to my sister, by the way. She's in Williamsburg, Williamsboro. Some really nice beach area in North Carolina. That's where she lives now. Shanina says Zuplex. Yeah, she was one of the. Oh. Of Shield, like Powers Booth. Yeah, there you go. And you talk about the Marvel. It took me a second. Board member. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Yeah, from the Marvel universe. Yeah. Wow, a lot of people saying hello to everyone else. I love the fellowship, by the way. It's very sweet. But I'm gonna not bother to read it all out. Emily Miller says my daughters in Texas will be looking at a heat index of 115 on Tuesday. Anywhere near Killeen? Killeen is where my granddaughter was born. Her dad was a soldier. And a lot of people saying hello to Darrell. And no one's going to take me up on the horse with no name being Wildfire. Really? No one? Okay. Len says that's hot. Yeah, 115. That's hot. That's really hot. I'm starting to miss that polar vortex. Remember that polar vortex I had where it was 5 below zero? Remember I was broadcasting in 5 below zero? I was like freezing it if I had my robe on. And yeah, I kind of missed that. Oh, Tom's here. He's still listening. Awesome, awesome. Gary Cameron says there was a song called "Wire of Fire." Yeah, that's the gimmick. The premises in the song "Wildfire." There's a horse whose name is Wildfire, who gets freaked out during a blizzard and runs into the hills. His owner, a woman who doesn't think herself through, decides to run after the horse. And in a couple of days, the horse, which is a much more resilient animal, comes back alive, but the woman who went into the hills froze to death. It's not a pleasant story. I should do a creepy classic on it now that I think of it. But the premise I was postulating was the horse that was found by America was in fact the horse Wildfire. Emily says Edinburgh in the Rio Grande Valley. That's the thing about Texas. It's so gigantic. Nothing is near anything else. Crubbington says, I love Powers Booth. He really was a national treasure. He's one of the people who was great in anything he did. I think the first thing I remember seeing him in was Red Dawn. He plays the pilot in Red Dawn. Dan says, what time does the trivia start? I usually wait until about 20 people get here. We've been hovering at 14 for about 15 minutes, so I'm probably going to start it at 8 o'clock. Possible also because I don't think I'm going to be. I don't know if my voice is going to hold out. I think it's the pollen count, but I noticed my voice has been getting scratchy lately. Zublex says, don't mention trivia, Dan. Now. Zublex says, you can't delay the inevitable. Tom says the 70s had so many of those downer story songs. They certainly did. Ode to Billy Joe, probably my favorite. Wajabin says, LOL, like your hat, Thrash. Yeah, but my wife bought me this hat. She goes, I want you to wear it and tell everybody that Mrs. Thrash bought me this hat. I am wearing it and telling you all, Mrs. Thrash bought me the hat. Dave says, my quiz to everyone. In Western Show Bonanza theme song, was it actually a whole lyric song? There are lyrics to it, but it is my understanding that was more or less a fan suggestion. The lyrics were actually added, I believe, by the staff afterwards, almost like a good-natured joke. Gary Carpenter says it's hot as Hades here. A lot of that going around. So because I remember Powers Booth was in a made-for-TV movie about the Reverend Jim Jones. Yes, he was. Oh my gosh, he was. I do remember that now. Dan says yes, the Bonanza song had lyrics. Okay, so it was official lyrics, or were they added after the fact? But either way, they did have lyrics. Yes, of course. Criminian says, a fave of mine that doesn't seem widely known is A Breed Apart was Powers Booth, Kathleen Turner, and Rutger Hauer. I think I saw that years ago. There's a bell ringing in my head. Powers Booth was in Tombstone. In fact, I was just thinking about that scene where he's hitting the guns backwards and oops a daisy. Zublik says, yes, it was David. It was even sung by Lauren Green. I do remember that. Well, actually, all three of them sang it. They were him and two of his sons were doing that scene. I do remember that. Oh, what you mean is back to working on dinner. Emily says, "What are we having lunch?" Tom says, "Yes, beer me." Goes way back to our schoolboy days. Do you remember? Oh my, yeah, because Strange Brew. We became obsessed with beer like long before we could actually drink the stuff. Super, I believe it was Angelo's because I believe it was where we worked. Angelo started carrying non-alcoholic beer, Met Brow or something like that, and I bought us a six pack. And we went. Your dad was working in the garden, and we both went out with beers, hoping he'd yell at us. And he wasn't even phased. He's like, I'm not stupid. I know you guys got non-alcoholic beer. And I remember I was so disheartened because I was hoping he would yell at us. But yes, beer me. Sean says first time I remember was first time I remember was Guyana as Jim Jones. Effing nailed it. Yeah, Powers Booth was amazing in that movie. He really was. Oh, a lot of people want to know what Jumine's having for dinner. Gary Carpenter says, "Oh yes, Alan Arkin has passed on. Rest in peace, Mr. Arkin. You were a national treasure." Crimminian says, "L's nor beer, eh?" Yeah, Strange Brew. Yeah, we were obsessed with Strange Brew. One of us had the album, the other one, I think he had the album and I taped it. But yeah, Doug McKenzie. We this is a true story. We had to do a class project for aviation class. There was this really awesome class. It was an aviation course, and the final project was you got to fly a plane. So I've actually flown a plane, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We had to do a class project. We had to give a presentation, and our teacher, who I had this long-standing rivalry with, that's another story. But he told about years ago, two of his students did a Johnny Carson spot where it was actually a comedy, but they covered all their material. And he and we did Strange Brew. We dressed up as Bob and Doug McKenzie and talked about various facets of a plane, eh? And this is like a airfoil, and I can't even remember a single joke we did from it. But we did the whole thing in Strange Brew. Didn't get any laughs, but we got a passing grade from this guy. Well, he actually loved you, but he and I, we got up on the wrong foot, I think. Another story. Shona says, first time I remember was, oh yeah, I already read that about Guyana, and yeah, he did nail it. Oh, I was going back a few. Usually I'm too far behind. Now I'm actually rereading. Dan says, Rutger Hauer was in the made-for-TV miniseries Merlin. My favorite Rutger Hauer, believe it or not, okay, call it what it is. Blade Runner. I loved him in Blade Runner. Soldier of Orange, a Dutch film about World War II, is probably my favorite Rutger Hauer movie. But I'm still gonna go with Blade Runner. John says Frederick Forrest also dies recently. Never get off the boat. R.I.P. Yes, never get off the boat. Blinking Tiger, Blinking Tiger, Blinking Tiger. Stole the movie in Apocalypse Now. He really did. Criminal says, take off, you hoser. Hello. What do you mean says chicken Alfredo is what is for dinner. Oh, I love chicken Alfredo. Enjoy it. We had burgers and fries, and my mother had chicken pot pie, which I took half of. Well, that's unfair. It's too much for her. I'll have fresh leftovers tomorrow. Zublik says, but he ended up losing his head. Spoiler, but yes, he did. Tom says Shakespeare horked our script, eh? I know it's from Hamlet, and whether I stole it or Shakespeare stole it is up to the courts. Criminal says my best friend and I were also obsessed with Mackenzie boys back then. I think a lot of teenage boys were at the time. Tom says that presentation bombed. We passed. For Mr. Hoffman, for me to get a passing anything in Mr. Hoffman, it was we loved it though. Yes, we certainly did, and I think we got a few left. But hey, anyway, he passed us, and we got to fly the plane, didn't we? Tracy says, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid." Jim Jones, yes, of course. Oh, David mentions Highlander. Love my Highlander. And Miller says, Dan, I preferred the British TV series Merlin. Excalibur is still my favorite. I love Excalibur. Excalibur is the definitive work of the story of King Arthur. What do you mean says Hitcher is my favorite Rutger Hauer movie. Okay, he was amazing in The Hitchhiker. He really was. I still have a copy of that somewhere. Oh, and Lance David mentions Nighthawks. Yeah, Lance, we've talked about Nighthawks. I love me my Nighthawks. Yeah, that was a great. My dad took me to that when I was like 12. Danny says I'm experiencing internet issues. Bad weather, I'm guessing. Tom says Hitcher, one of the most disturbing movies I saw up to then. Yes, it certainly was. It certainly was. Oh, Shana says lag spike. Emily Miller says KFC used to have the best chicken pot pies. I never had their chicken pot pie. You're probably right. Danny says bad storms beginning. Tracy says it was the potluck in our house. Danny says we're still. Oh, Emily says Danny, we're still waiting up in North Carolina. Sean says cool, it's an English lullaby. What do you mean says another movie I like with Rutger Hauer is Blind Fury. Don't recall that one. Criminal says Flesh and Blood with Rutger Hauer was an interesting movie. One of the few that shows the transitional period between swords and armor and firearms around 1500. I think yes, yeah, that's an actually amazing movie. And I have a copy myself actually. And Bruno Kirby is also in it, and it's that sort of those last days of chivalry. I think is probably the best way I could put it. But yes, and I think I jumped. I'm going to try to catch up. Oh, here we are. Daryl Johnson says, a psychic told me that the spirit of an old Italian chef is haunting my house. And Miller says the British BBC series had a lot of magic and the actors were all awesome. Isn't guy who played Bradley Ace of Spies, the guy from Jurassic Park. Isn't he in that one? Zublik says, never knew Rutger Hauer had so many fans. Oh, he certainly did, and will. Daryl John says, I'm not worried, though. I ain't Alfredo. No, I ain't afraid of no ghost. I ain't afraid of no ghost. Shana says, to what you mean, did you see the Japanese movies Blind Fury is based on? Emma Miller says, Darrell, if he don't cook, kick the bum out. Bum. I got that. Rutger Hauer just jumped off the page again. Rutger in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He was the master. That's right. I'd forgotten that. And I didn't think Jenny still had fans. Oh, she certainly does. She has many fans. And let's give it to Rutger Hauer in Wanted Dead or Alive with Gene Simmons. Great movie. Great movie. I saw that years ago. Dave says, my orange clock or that was too much. My orange clock. As in a Clockwork Orange? That was too much. Shannon says, good minion, thanks. Thrash Bundle Puns. I was trying to go do the McKinsey Brothers show song. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. It's really tough to do that non-phonetically. Lance Draven says effing. Oh, Criminal says effing bonus. Never forget that scene. And Gary Cameron says you're sure it's not Gene Simmons. No, I think it's with a G, not a J. And Criminal correct himself, forgot. Gary Cameron says tisk, the language. Dan says my uncle had a wife that he divorced. Her name was Caliber. So it was his Excalibur. Bad, quick joke. That's priceless. His Excalibur. Just see. And Lynn says, no, it's Jean. Emily says, the young lady who played Lena Luthor on Supergirl played Morgana Le Fay in the Merlin series. And why can't I think of his name? Why can't the guy from everybody? Come on, guys. The guy from Jurassic Park, the first one. Australian actor. He was in Riley Ace of Spies. Help me out here. It's killing me. I will know his name like a shot. He's the clone of my father. My father looks so much like him, it's not even funny. Tom says Morgan Le Fay and Excalibur was none other than the amazing Helen Mirren. You are so correct. Yes, you are. You are so correct. Anyway, Sam Neill. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Sam Neill. It was starting to dig into my brain. What you mean said Jeff Goldblum first, who was also in it, but then goes on to say Sam Neill. Yes, you're all okay. Thank you so much. You know what? I'm going to count that as a trivia question. Everyone who said Sam Neill, give yourself a bonus point. And with that being said, how about, and I don't know why I couldn't think of Sam Neill. I don't know why. It probably was too obvious. But while we're on the subject, how about we start the music trivia game? Oh, and Emily says, I don't think it was Sam was in it. I'll check. He did do a mini series about, and Tom is still here, about Merlin, but maybe in a different one. But anyway, as always, I'm going to read these in no particular order. Number 10. What famous DJ did background vocals for the shameless top 40 cash grab, We Built This City on Rock and Roll? Was it Wolfman Jack, Casey Kasem, Rick Dees, or Gary Owens? I shall repeat. What famous DJ did background vocals for the shameless top 40 cash grab, We Built the City on Rock and Roll? A. Wolfman Jack, B. Casey Kasem, C. Rick Dees, or D. Gary Owens? Seeing some inches kick in. I'm going to give it a few more seconds. I don't want to, every time I do this, I think I'm going to put in a timer at some point, like Dave does, to give people X amount of time. But it seems to me you either know it or you don't. So giving you guys a timer just prolongs the agony. But it looks like most of you are answered correctly. Oh, Danny says, today's the anniversary of my stepmom's death. I remember when the house fell on her. Commiserations, lad. Commiserations. Oh, and by the way, yes, you were correct. Rick Dees was the answer to the question. Moving on to number 9. Now, the artist formerly known as Prince, who was at one time known as Prince, and at other times known as simply the artist, what was his given name at birth? Was it A, Prince Rogers Nelson, B, Prince Roberts Nelson, C, Prince Major Nelson, or D, Prince Harriman Nelson? I will repeat, and I'm going to skip all the the superfluous stuff. What was Prince's given name at birth? Was it A, Prince Rogers Nelson, B, Prince Roberts Nelson, C, Prince Major Nelson, or D, Prince Harriman Nelson? And again, right out the gate. Oh, somebody says I wanted it to be B. Thank you. Thank you. Very, very, very kind of you. But no, it actually is A, Prince Rogers Nelson. Major Nelson, of course, is a nod to I agree with Jeannie, and Harriman Nelson was the admiral in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And we shall continue. Question 8. What famous singer / political activist Don Henley's song criticized the Reagan era? Was it A, Dirty Laundry, B, Boys of Summer, C, End of the Innocents, or D, A New York Minute? I shall repeat. What famous singer / political activist Don Henley's song criticized the Reagan era? Was it A, Dirty Laundry, B, Boys of Summer, C, End of the Innocents, or D, In a New York Minute? Give you guys a couple more seconds. Oh, House of Alex is here. Says, hey guys, just stopping by before bed. Hope you're all well. Alex, so great to see you, by the way. I understand it must be like close to 2 in the morning your time. Thank you for stopping by. Love your last minute movie, by the way, about moving. I remember I moved around a lot when I was a kid and never really learned to love it. So all the stuff that you mentioned about moving was actually very, very, very funny. Oh, and Danny has given us a link to you, and a lot of people are saying hi. Uh, and while we're on the subject, a lot of you people said A, and it's not a bad guess, but A, that was the one that criticized the entertainment industry. The one that specifically criticized President Reagan was End of the Innocence. With this title man that we elected king. So C is the appropriate answer for that one there. 7. Aerosmith experienced a comeback in the 1980s thanks to what hip hop sensation? Was it A, the Beastie Boys, B, LL Cool J, C, Tone Loc, or D, Run DMC? Well, some of you, even before I give all the options, and I shall repeat, Aerosmith experienced a comeback in the 1980s thanks to what hip hop sensation? Was it A, the Beastie Boys, B, LL Cool J, C, Tone Loc, or D, Run DMC? Give you guys a couple more seconds. Seems most of you got it. I saw one or two A's. But yes, Run DMC. Remember, Run DMC did a cover of Talk This Way. Walk this way, talk this way. And Aerosmith actually was in it. And but it actually caused a spike in their popularity. Okay, so I shall move on. After this one, we'll do scores. Number 6. What famous band was actually sued by a major metropolitan area? Was it A, Chicago, B, Boston, C, Berlin, or D, Kansas? I shall repeat. What famous band was actually sued by a major metropolitan area? A, Chicago, B, Boston, C, Berlin, or D, Kansas? Give you a couple more seconds. Yes. Looks like most people are guessing the correct answer. It was Chicago. Originally, they were known as Chicago Transit Authority, and they were actually sued and had to change their name to Chicago. All the others just happened to be bands whose named after geographical regions, so I could throw you off. So, how about some scores? Let's see what we got. I see. I see 3 for 4, which means the Gary Carpenter gave me the score before we had gotten. So that's good. 3 for 4 is good. Azublet's got 4 out of 5. You see, Zoop, you're doing fine. Watchamin is 4 for 5. Crubinian's 5 for 5. Sorry, 5 for fighting. 5 for 5. Emma Miller is 4 for 5. Tracy is 4 for 5. Tom says, yes, of course. Daryl Johnson is 5 for 5, but admits to cheating. David has 4. Lance Chafin is 5 for 6. Oh, you're including the bonus one. Fair enough. You want to include the bonus? Go ahead. Sean Innes is 3 for 5 with the Rick D's bonus. Dan says Saturday in the park. Oh, Dave also admitted to having cheated. Guys, you want to cheat? Cheat. Go ahead. There's no prize involved. I'm actually one of those people. I cheat when I play solitaire, and there's something wrong with people who cheat when they're playing solitaire. But yeah, I cheat during solitaire. So you guys want to cheat? Go ahead. House of Alex says missed the first few, but 2 for 5. Alex, that's awesome sauce. You can catch the rest when you watch this tomorrow in replay if you are so inclined. Dan is 5 for 5. Gary says A, so he got the right answer to the last question. Oh, Zendwayne. Hello, Zendwayne. Zendwayne came in late and is 2 for 5, but came in late. Zendwayne, thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying, and I hope you do equally, if not better, in the second half of the game. And Shannon is actually 3 of 5 plus 1 bonus question. Kind of is 4 for 5. A lot of people saying hello to Zendwayne. Ed Bloomer says, at least you're here. That's an excellent point. I cheat on video games too. Who didn't? Who didn't? Cribbington says, been spending most of their lives living in cheaters' paradise. Oh, Dwayne says, how's everyone doing? I'm doing well. Kind of crappy weather up here in Cape Cod for 4th of July weekend, but we're enduring. And again, welcome to the party. And Daryl John says, you're going to get a Judge Dredd helmet lance. Why not? Why not? Anywho, I'm going to pick up again with question 5. Okay, question 5. What singer and counterculturalist was actually the son of a U.S. Navy admiral? Was it A. Arlo Guthrie, B. Bobby Dylan, C. Neil Young, or D. Jim Morrison? I shall repeat. What famous singer and counterculturalist was actually the son of a U.S. Navy admiral? Was it A. Arlo Guthrie, B. Bobby Dylan, C. Neil Young, or D. Jim Morrison? Oh, so Dwayne, you have to go to work in half an hour. Well, I'll try to rush through the questions so you can answer as many as you can. If not, you can always watch the rest and replay. A lot of people do that. But apparently everyone got this one. Yes, it was D. Jim Morrison. In fact, I can't find it. Years ago, though, in a war movie I owned, not Pearl Harbor, but there's like some movie where there's like active military stuff going on in Navy, people talking to each other, and one of them actually says, tell Morrison to do this or that, and they're actually referring to the man who would later become Admiral Morrison. And so, yeah, so they actually make reference to him in some old World War II flick. He says, don't rush on my account. Okay, I shan't. And oh, yeah, Superblix says, touch me, baby. The Jim Morrison song. Great song. Great song. But anyway, yes, it seems like almost everyone got that one correct. So I shall move on to question 4. What famous international song remains the #1 U.S. foreign language hit of all time? A. Dominique by Janine Deckers. B. Guantanamera by the Sandpipers. C. Rock Me Amadeus by Falco. Or D. Sukiyaki by Kayu Sakamoto. I shall repeat. What famous international song remains the #1 U.S. foreign language film to this day? Is it A. Dominique by Janine Deckers, B. Guantanamera by the Sandpipers, C. Rock Me Amadeus by Falco, or D. Sukiyaki by Kayu Sakamoto? Kayu Sakamoto, sorry. And wow. A lot of people guessing Rock Me Amadeus. Good guess, but wrong. I see a couple people picking B. Again, good guess, but wrong. ML Miller got it. It's Sukiyaki. So to this day, Sukiyaki remains the biggest foreign language hit in the United States. I'm not sure what they base that on, but when I was doing my research, that was what was named. Oh, Danny brings up an excellent point. 99 Luftballons is better than all of them. Yeah, and she was so hot. I'm sorry. she was a cutie. But But yes. Oh, and then Dwayne got it as well. A few people got D. So good for you. And again, that one apparently was a tougher one than I thought. I knew a lot of people were going to think Falco, but yes, you are right. I should have gone with 99 Left Balloons just because she was hot. Anyway, moving on. 19. The Vietnam criticizing anti-war song featured what famous U.S. narrator on background vocals? Was it A. Mason Adams, B. Peter Thomas, C. Walker Edmiston, or D. Don LaFontaine? I shall repeat. 19. The Vietnam War criticizing anti-war song featured what famous U.S. narrator on background vocals? A. Mason Adams, B. Peter Thomas, C. Walker Edmiston, or D. Don LaFontaine? Mason Adams? Good guess, but wrong. He's the one who did the Smuckers Brothers commercials. With a name like Smuckers, it's got to be good. A lot of people guessing Don LaFontaine. He's possibly the most widely known. I'm looking for somebody who. Someone's got to have the right answer. I'm getting a lot of A's and D's. Dan says, R. Say what? Unknown. Oh, Edmund's guessing Walker Edmiston. Walker Edmiston was the voice of the Keebler Elf, among many, many, many other things. But now he was the voice of the Keebler Elf. No one got it. I'm sorry. Oh, now you say B then. It doesn't count now. I've already extinguished all the other answers. Fine, but yes, it was Peter Thomas. Any of you who are forensic file fanatics like Mrs. Thrash is, you know the sound of his voice. He's the guy who narrated Forensic Files for decades. He did a lot of public service warnings, government-sponsored ads back in the 70s, 80s. But yeah, Peter Thomas was the correct answer. Wow, I didn't realize that one was going to be so tough. But it still counts. And that was number 2, wasn't it? Yeah. Which makes sense because the number 1 question is what Blue Oyster Cult was recorded for a major motion picture? Was it A, Vengeance the Pact, B, Joan Crawford has risen from the grave, C, Godzilla, or D, Don't Fear the Reaper? I shall repeat. What Blue Oyster Cult number was recorded for a major motion picture? A, Vengeance the Pact, B, Joan Crawford has risen from the grave, C, Godzilla, or D, Don't Fear the Reaper? Terrell Jones says, that's BS. BS, I say. David says, we can dance if you want to. We can dance if you want to. Iron Man. Yes, thank you, D. Wow. A lot of people are guessing Godzilla. Sorry, no. Let's see. D? Sorry, no. A few of you got it, but I'm just going to tell you. In fact, there's really a cool story behind it. It was A, Vengeance the Pact. Now, as a lot of you know, in the early 80s, the chic thing to do was to get bands to do the soundtracks to major motion pictures. Queen did Flash Gordon. Toto did Dune. Pink Floyd did The Wall, but of course it was their music to begin with. So, and no, sorry, Tom, not Godzilla. So anyway, the people who were putting together Heavy Metal from the Heavy Metal magazine, they were turning it into the animated feature film, the classic, approached Blue Oyster Cult and said, would you consider doing a submission for the soundtrack. And they were like, would we? And they went out and they wrote an entire album's worth of music, thinking that they were going to do the soundtrack to heavy metal. And what happened was the producer says, oh, no, no, we want a song. We don't want you to the whole soundtrack. We want a song. And of course, it was Veterans of the Psychic War, which is barely even used in the movie. But they did. They wrote all these songs. That's why when you listen to Vengeance of the Pact, it's literally the story of Tarna. Well, the good news was they took all this songs they wrote and they turned them into Fire of Unknown Origin, which was a reasonable success for them back in the 80s. But yes, Vengeance of the Pact was actually written for a major motion picture. Now, Godzilla may have appeared in Godzilla movies, but it wasn't written for it. Anyway, I got the bonus. And here's the bonus question. Angel of Harlem was an homage to what jazz age icon? A. Billie Holiday. B. Ella Fitzgerald. C. Josephine Baker. Or D. Ivy Anderson. I shall repeat. And of course, it's the YouTube Rattle and Hum song, Angel of Harlem, was an homage to what jazz age icon? A. Billie Holiday. B. Ella Fitzgerald. C. Josephine Baker. Or D. Ivy Anderson. And Rockwell. No hot dogging. Well, opinions seem to be divided. Josephine Baker was a great guess. She was amazing. But no, it's not Josephine Baker. It is, in fact, A. Billie Holiday. Eartha Kitt, really? But anyway, so let's see how we did. Let's get final scores. And you can feel free to, you can either add the bonus or not. So if you want to say X out of 11, that's fine, or X out of 10. But again, if you want to have the bonuses count towards your final score, apply them in any manner. But let's get some scores here. Azurblix is 6 for 11. Criminal is 7 for 10. Garrett Carpenter says meow 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 meow. Sean Innes says LOL. Got both bonus questions, 5 of 10 otherwise. So you are 7 out of 10. David is 4. Tracy is 8 for 10. Emmy Miller is 8 of 11 or 9 for 10, depending on how you look at it. David Remsen says, think, Elf, think. Dan says 7 of 11. Zen Dwayne says 5 for 10. Daryl John says, I don't know. I think I won. Well, if you think you won, then I'm sure you did. Because deep down, I think we're all winners. Dan says Slurpee time. And Les Jamin says, okay, Morris the cat. That would have been funny if Morris the cat actually did the Meow Mix ads. That would be great. Emily says everyone gets a loving cup. Indeed they do. Indeed they do. Any of the scores? But again, I think we're all winners. But anyhow, guys, again, the voice is starting to go. So I think I'm going to have to call it a tad bit early tonight. Not sure if it's going to be Ian C and I tomorrow or just me tomorrow. But either way, I'm not going to let the show go by without it being aired. So it'll either be Ian and I tomorrow or just solo. I'll let you guys know at some point during the day tomorrow. Shanina says, I think Mrs. Thrash cheated. Probably did. Zublik says, there were bodies lying everywhere those last 6 questions. Yeah, they were kind of all over the place. Everybody started out really, really good. And then Daryl says, okay, Bob, have a good night. Say hey to Mama Thrash. I was just talking to her, actually. We were going over Dr. Zhivago trivia. That would have been a tough one. Watchman says, thanks, everyone. Good night, everyone. Zendwayne says, okay, gotta go. Catch you later. Wishing you all love, peace, and soul. Bye, guys. Zendwayne, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night. And again, might have another show tomorrow with or without ENC. If not, next Sunday night. That's my time slot. Zubik says it'll be fun either way. I'm sure it will. And thank you. Thank you very much. Emily Miller says, Tracy, I wondered how many had to give them back because they couldn't afford the taxes. Oh, good point. Good point. Denny says, trivia is too easy. I play a different way sometimes and try to come up with a funny answer. That actually is a blast, by the way. Please keep doing that. Please keep doing that. And yes, I certainly see what you're doing. Yeah. When in doubt, go rogue. Dan says, have a great night. You as well. Take care. Gary Garner says, good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Tracy laughs at what Emily said. Tom says, good night, all. Good night to you. Grubman says, peace to all. Emily says, do it tomorrow no matter what. I promise you, Emily, the show must go on. Again, it'll either be me or Ian and I, but there will be a show tomorrow. I promise. Tom says, thanks, everyone. Joe John says, y'all have a good night. Stay safe and cool. We'll certainly try. A lot of people saying good nights and a good night to you too. Happy trails. Peace. Hit that like before you leave. Thank you. Dave says, Thrash, you have a great you have very great show. Thank you so much, Dave. That's very, very kind of you. Tracy says, nighters. And all people saying good night to Tracy. And again, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming by the show tonight. I really do have a lot of fun with these. And again, you guys really make it. And I say it every time, and I always will. You guys really make it. If we didn't have the interaction, it wouldn't be any fun. And you guys are great. And sometimes when I get nothing to say, you give me stuff to say in the comments section. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Oh, and then it says, invite your friends tomorrow night. Invite your enemies. Well said, well said. Dave says, peace to the world. And Zerblick says, peace as well. Gary says, adios, ciao, sayonara, everyone. And Shannon says, Keith, if you are there, marking your present just in case. Oh, yeah. Again, I believe you're having dinner with your brother tonight, but you are marked as here in spirit. Anyway, I want to thank you guys all, whether you're here in replay or here live. Be good, be safe, be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.